The notification sound from my phone cut through the 3 a.m. silence like a knife. Baby Ava had finally fallen asleep after 2 hours of crying, and I was sprawled on my couch, still in yesterday's milk-stained shirt, when the family group chat lit up. My name is Lindsay, and 3 months ago I thought I knew what rock bottom felt like. I was wrong. OMG, you guys, the caterer just confirmed. Tyler's wedding is going to be perfect, Zaylee had typed, followed by a string of heart eye emojis that made my stomach turn. I scrolled up through the messages I'd somehow missed while dealing with Ava's colic and my own exhaustion. Screenshot after screenshot of wedding plans, venue layouts, seating charts, all happening on my land. The 5 acres Grandpa left me in his will. Can't believe we're actually pulling this off on the Harvey estate land. So grateful the family came together, Grace had written earlier. Harvey estate land, like it belonged to all of them. Like Grandpa hadn't specifically left it to me in black and white. Lindsay's probably too busy with baby stuff to use it anyway, lol, someone had added. I couldn't even tell who anymore. The names blurred together in my sleep-deprived haze. My phone buzzed with another message. This time it was Tyler himself. Babe, you should see this place tomorrow. We're transforming it into something magical. Gianna's going to die when she sees the arch we're building. The arch, on my property, that I'd inherited after watching Grandpa waste away in that hospital bed, holding his hand while the rest of them argued about his assets in the hallway. I set the phone down and walked to the window. Outside, my beat-up Honda sat in the driveway of this tiny rental house that ate half my waitressing income. Inside, my 3-month-old daughter slept in a crib I'd bought secondhand. Her father, Seth, had walked out 6 weeks before she was born, claiming he needed space to figure things out. What he'd really needed was space to figure out his ex-girlfriend. The land was supposed to be our future. Mine and Ava's. Grandpa had pulled me aside at Christmas, his weathered hands shaking as he signed the papers. "This is for you, sweetheart," he'd whispered, "for when you need a fresh start." I'd cried then, thinking it was the most generous gift anyone had ever given me. Now I realized it might be the only thing standing between us and complete financial ruin. My phone rang. Uncle Sean's name flashed on the screen. "Hey there, stranger," his voice boomed through the speaker. "Hope I didn't wake the baby." "She's sleeping. What's up?" "Just wanted to give you a heads up. We're starting setup on the land this weekend for Tyler's big day. Trucks will be rolling in Saturday morning. Hope that's not a problem." I stared at my reflection in the dark window. Dark circles under my eyes. Hair that hadn't seen a proper brush in days. This was what they saw when they looked at me now. Not the college graduate who'd managed a marketing team. Not the granddaughter who'd spent every summer helping Grandpa tend his garden. Just a broke single mom who was too tired to fight. "The land that's in my name?" I asked quietly. "Well, yeah, technically, but you know what Grandpa would have wanted. Family helping family. Tyler's been planning this wedding for 2 years, and with your situation, we figured you wouldn't mind sharing the space. My situation. Code 4, single, broke, and therefore irrelevant. Plus," Sean continued, "it's not like you're using it for anything right now." Through the phone, I could hear voices in the background. Laughter, the clink of glasses. They were all together somewhere, planning my cousin's perfect day on my property while I sat alone in the dark. "Lindsay, you there?" "Yeah," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "I'm here." "So we're good? No drama?" I looked at Ava's crib, at the stack of unpaid bills on my coffee table, at the eviction notice I'd shoved in a drawer yesterday. "Sure," I heard myself say. "Do what you have to do." "Great. You're the best, kiddo. We'll make sure to save you some cake." The line went dead. I sat in the silence for a long moment, then picked up my phone again. But instead of opening the family chat, I scrolled through my contacts until I found the number I was looking for. David Hayes, attorney at law. I started typing. "Hi, David. It's Lindsay. I need to discuss my grandfather's will. Can we meet tomorrow?" David's office smelled like leather and old coffee. I bounced Ava on my knee while he spread Grandpa's will across his mahogany desk, his reading glasses perched on his nose. The language is pretty clear, Lindsay. The property was left to you, free and clear. No conditions, no shared ownership. But they're acting like it belongs to the whole family. What they're acting like and what's legal are two different things. He leaned back in his chair. Tell me exactly what they're planning. I pulled out my phone and showed him Zaylee's latest Instagram story. She'd posted a boomerang video of herself spinning in front of a "Coming soon, Tyler and Gianna's dream wedding" sign, with the caption, "Huge thanks to the Harvey estate for letting us use this gorgeous land. Family, first, dream wedding." Harvey estate, David muttered. Interesting choice of words. What do you mean? Your grandfather's estate was settled 3 months ago. There is no Harvey estate anymore, legally speaking, just individual inheritances. He tapped the will. This land is yours. Period. My phone buzzed with a text from Aunt Yolanda. Honey, I know you're going through a tough time, but please don't make Tyler's wedding about your problems. Family comes first. I showed David the message. His eyebrows shot up. They're really doubling down on this narrative, aren't they? It gets worse. I scrolled through more messages. Grace told everyone I'm emotionally unstable and shouldn't be making decisions about the land right now. Based on what? Based on the fact that I'm a single mom, I guess. David set down his glasses. Lindsay, I need to ask you something, and I want you to think carefully before you answer. What do you want to do here? Before I could respond, my phone rang. It was my best friend, Maggie. I have to take this, I told David, then answered. Hey, Mags. Girl, you need to call me back immediately. I just saw Zaylee's Instagram story, and I am losing my mind. I'm actually at my lawyer's office right now. Good. Don't hang up. Put me on speaker. I looked at David, who nodded. Maggie, you're on speaker with my attorney. Perfect. Hi, attorney person. I'm Maggie. I work in real estate development. Lindsay, do you have any idea what that land is worth? I mean, Grandpa always said it was valuable, but... No, honey, do you know what it's really worth? Because I've been watching that area for 2 years. Developers are circling those parcels like vultures. David leaned forward. What kind of developers? Luxury residential. The kind that pays stupid money for undeveloped land with good access roads. I'm talking 7 figures. Easy. The room went quiet except for Ava's soft babbling. Lindsay, Maggie continued, I can have 3 developers bidding on that property by next week. But here's the kicker. They specifically want parcels that aren't tied up in family disputes or easement issues. What does that mean? I asked. David answered. It means clean title, no complications, no shared ownership claims. Exactly, Maggie said. And from what I can see on social media, your family is about to dump a bunch of money into improvements on land they don't actually own. Improvements that could complicate a sale. My phone buzzed with another text. This time it was Tyler. Can't wait for you to see what we're building out there. It's going to be insane. Thanks for being so cool about everything. I showed the text to David. He shook his head. They're creating a paper trail that suggests you gave permission. But I know, but perception matters in legal disputes. The longer this goes on, the more complicated it gets. Maggie's voice crackled through the speaker. Lindsay, I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to really think about it. Do you want to keep that land for sentimental reasons, or do you want to secure your daughter's future? I looked down at Ava, who was chewing on her tiny fist. 3 months old and already more resilient than half my family. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting you sell, fast, before they can muddy the waters with their wedding nonsense. David cleared his throat. If you're serious about this, we'd need to move quickly. I can file paperwork to halt any construction on the property while we sort out the sale. How quickly? I could have a cease and desist order ready by tomorrow morning, and if Maggie's right about the developers... He paused, calculating. You could be looking at enough money to change your life completely. My phone lit up with more family chat messages, photos of rental chairs being delivered, excitement about the florist arriving tomorrow, all of them so confident that I'd just roll over and let them have what they wanted. Do it, I said quietly. Which part? David asked. All of it. The cease and desist, the sale, everything. Maggie whooped through the speaker. That's my girl. I'll start making calls. David was already pulling out legal forms. I'll need you to sign some paperwork. And Lindsay, once we start this process, there's no going back. Your family is going to be furious. I thought about Sean's condescending voice, about being called emotionally unstable, about watching my family plan a party on my property while I struggled to pay rent. Good, I said, reaching for the pen. The next morning, I sat in my kitchen feeding Ava while my phone exploded with wedding updates. Tyler had posted a time-lapse video of workers setting up a massive white tent, complete with crystal chandeliers that probably cost more than my car. Day 1 of setup complete. This place is going to be magical, he'd captioned it. My doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw a sheriff's deputy holding an envelope. Lindsay Martinez? That's me. I have some documents for you to review before we proceed with the property notice. I let him in and spread the papers across my coffee table while Ava sat in her bouncer, fascinated by the deputy's shiny badge. So this cease and desist order will be served this afternoon? Yes, ma'am. We'll post it on the property and serve copies to anyone we find on site. Your attorney says there might be quite a few people there today. My phone rang. Maggie, please tell me you're sitting down, she said without preamble. I'm sitting. What's up? I just got off the phone with Riverside Development Group. They want to make an offer sight unseen. How much? 6.2 million. I nearly dropped the phone. The deputy raised his eyebrows. Did you just say 6 million? Point 2. And Lindsay, they want to close fast. Like next week, fast. They're worried about zoning changes that might affect the area next year. The deputy leaned forward. Ma'am, if you don't mind me asking, is this about that big wedding setup happening out on Maple Ridge Road? You know about it? Hard to miss. They've got trucks blocking half the road. My supervisor was asking about permits this morning. Permits? I grabbed a pen. What kind of permits? Event permits, construction permits for temporary structures, noise permits for amplified music. The usual stuff for big events. Maggie's voice crackled through the speaker. Wait, they need permits for all that? Yes, ma'am. And from what I understand, nobody's filed anything with the county. I felt something shift in my chest. Not quite satisfaction, but close. Deputy, what happens if someone builds temporary structures without permits? Depends on the scope. For something this size, we'd shut it down immediately. Fines start at $5,000 per violation. My phone buzzed with a text from Zaylee. OMG, the flowers just arrived. This is going to be the most beautiful wedding ever. So grateful for family that supports each other. Lindsay? Maggie's voice pulled me back. You still there? I'm here. Tell Riverside yes, but I want the announcement delayed until... I looked at the deputy. When is the wedding? This Saturday, from what I hear. Tell them to announce the sale Wednesday, 3 days before. That's cold, girl. I love it. The deputy stood up. I should head out to serve these papers. You want to come along? Actually, yes, I do. 20 minutes later, I was following the deputy's car down Maple Ridge Road, Ava sleeping peacefully in her car seat. As we crested the hill, I saw my land transformed. White tents dotted the field like enormous flowers. A wooden archway stood where Grandpa used to park his old tractor. String lights hung between trees that had shaded me during childhood summers. It was beautiful. It was also completely illegal. The deputy parked first. I pulled up behind him, watching through my windshield as Tyler spotted the police car and jogged over, his face shifting from confusion to concern. Officer, is there a problem? Are you in charge of this event setup? Well, yeah, it's my wedding. This is family land. I need to see your permits. Tyler's face went blank. Permits? Event permit, construction permits for these temporary structures, noise permit for amplified sound. We didn't know we needed permits. This is private property. The deputy handed him the cease and desist order. Private property belonging to Lindsay Martinez, who has requested all construction and setup activities cease immediately. That's when Tyler saw me getting out of my car. Lindsay, what the hell is this? It's exactly what it says. You need to stop. Zaylee appeared from behind the main tent, her face flushed with exertion and anger. Are you seriously doing this right now? 3 days before the wedding? I'm protecting my property. Your property? Sean's voice boomed across the field as he strode toward us. This is family land, Lindsay. Grandpa would be rolling over in his grave. The deputy stepped between us. Ma'am, is this your land? Yes, I have the deed in my car if you need to see it. That won't be necessary, sir. He addressed Sean. You have 24 hours to remove all structures and equipment. After that, you'll be cited for trespassing. Zaylee's voice went shrill. You can't do this. We have vendors coming, guests flying in. The caterer alone cost $15,000. You should have thought about that before you started building on someone else's property without permission. Tyler pulled out his phone. I'm calling Dad and our lawyer. Good idea, I said calmly. Make sure they understand that as of Wednesday, this land won't even belong to me anymore. The silence that followed was deafening. What do you mean? Sean asked slowly. I mean I sold it. The new owners take possession next week. Zaylee's face went white. You sold Grandpa's land? I sold my land, the land he left to me. Tyler was frantically typing on his phone. This is insane. You're destroying my wedding over what? Some family drama? No, Tyler, I'm securing my daughter's future, something none of you seemed to think was important. The deputy cleared his throat. Folks, I need to finish serving these papers. You have until tomorrow at 5 p.m. to clear out. As he walked away, my family stood frozen, staring at me like I'd grown a second head. $6.2 million, I said quietly. That's what it sold for, in case you were wondering. That night, my phone didn't stop buzzing. The family group chat had exploded into chaos. This is absolutely unforgivable, Aunt Yolanda. She's lost her mind. Grace. We need to contest this legally. Sean. How could you do this to Tyler? Zaylee. I muted the chat and called David. How are you holding up? He asked. They're threatening to contest the sale. Let them try. The will is ironclad and you're the sole inheritor. Plus, we have documentation that they never filed proper probate updates after your grandfather's death. What does that mean? It means every transaction they've made assuming shared ownership is legally invalid. They can't contest what they never had legal claim to in the first place. I walked to my window and looked out at the street. A black SUV was parked across from my house that hadn't been there earlier. David, I think someone's watching my house. Probably Tyler or Sean trying to intimidate you. Document it. Take photos. I snapped a picture just as the SUV's door opened. Seth stepped out. Never mind. It's my ex. Want me to stay on the line? No, I can handle this. Seth knocked on my door like he still lived here. 3 sharp raps, then the doorbell. Lindsay, open up. We need to talk. I cracked the door, keeping the chain latched. Ava's sleeping. I heard about the land sale. From who? Does it matter? $6 million, Lindsay? And you didn't think to call me? Why would I call you? You walked out. I'm still Ava's father. Being a father requires more than DNA, Seth. He pushed against the door. Let me in. We need to discuss this like adults. Adults don't abandon pregnant girlfriends. I made a mistake, okay? But this affects our daughter's future. That money should be in a trust fund or something, not just sitting in your account. I laughed. You think I'm stupid enough to keep 6 million in checking? I think you're emotional and making decisions without thinking them through, like the decision to trust you? His jaw tightened. Look, I know I screwed up, but I'm here now. We could get back together, raise Ava properly, buy a house with that money, be a real family. Where's Jessica? Who? Your ex-girlfriend. The one you left me for. That's over. It was never serious. Right, so you left your pregnant girlfriend for something that wasn't serious. Lindsay, please, I'm trying to make this right. By showing up the day after I come into money? What a coincidence. My phone rang. Tyler's name flashed on the screen. I have to take this. Don't answer it, Seth said quickly. Why not? Because you're angry at your family right now, and anger makes people do stupid things. I answered the call and put it on speaker. Lindsay, thank God. Look, I know we got off on the wrong foot yesterday, but we're family. We can work this out. There's nothing to work out, Tyler. The land is sold, but the contracts aren't signed yet, right? We could match whatever they're offering. Seth's eyes lit up. I could practically see the dollar signs. With what money? I asked. We'll figure it out. Dad's talking to the bank about a loan against the other family properties. So you want to mortgage your parents' house to pay for your wedding venue? It's not just a wedding venue. It's about keeping Grandpa's land in the family. Grandpa left it to me specifically. If he wanted it to stay with the whole family, he would have said so. You're being selfish. Seth nodded vigorously like Tyler could see him through the phone. I'm being practical. That money is going to pay for Ava's college, her future, maybe a house where she can have her own room instead of sleeping in my bedroom. We could all benefit from keeping it in the family, Tyler pressed. Think about Ava growing up with cousins, having family land to visit. You mean the cousins who call me emotionally unstable, the family who planned a wedding on my property without asking? Seth grabbed my arm. He has a point about Ava. I jerked away from him. Don't touch me. Tyler, I said into the phone. The answer is no. The sale is final. Lindsay, wait. I hung up. Seth stepped closer. You're making a huge mistake. The only mistake I made was trusting people who didn't deserve it. I deserve another chance. Based on what? Showing up when you smell money? Based on the fact that I love you. You love the idea of $6 million? That's not fair. Not fair? I opened the door wider. You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been you being here when Ava was born. Fair would have been helping with midnight feedings and doctor visits. Fair would have been supporting me when your family treated me like garbage. I'm here now. You're here for the money, just like them. Seth's mask slipped. Look, we both know you can't handle this kind of money on your own. You need help making smart decisions. Get out. Lindsay, get out of my house and don't come back unless it's for a scheduled visitation with your daughter. He left, but not before turning back at the door. You'll regret this. All of it. I locked the door and checked on Ava, who had slept through the entire confrontation. My phone buzzed with a text from Maggie. Riverside wants to expedite closing. They can have money in your account by Friday. You good with that? I typed back. Perfect. Let's do it. Another text came in, this one from an unknown number. This is Gianna. Can we talk? I stared at Gianna's text for a full minute before responding. Sure. When and where? Coffee shop on Main Street? I can be there in 20 minutes. I'll be there. I strapped Ava into her car seat, my hands shaking slightly. In all the chaos with my family, I'd barely thought about Tyler's fiancée. She was collateral damage in this whole mess, and part of me felt guilty about that. The coffee shop was nearly empty at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. Gianna sat in a corner booth, her dark hair pulled back, no makeup. She looked like she'd been crying. Thank you for coming, she said as I slid Ava's carrier into the booth. I wasn't sure you'd want to talk to me. I wasn't sure either. She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. But I needed to hear your side of this. What has Tyler told you? That you're having some kind of breakdown, that you're jealous of our wedding and trying to sabotage it out of spite. I adjusted Ava's blanket. And what do you think? I think there's more to this story. She leaned forward. Lindsay, I've been with Tyler for 3 years. I've watched how his family treats you. How do they treat me? Like you don't matter. Like you're some charity case they have to tolerate. The honesty in her voice surprised me. At Christmas dinner last year, she continued, when you were pregnant and Seth had just left, I heard Zaylee tell her mom that you'd probably come crawling back to the family once the baby was born. She said that? She said a lot of things. About how single mothers always end up needing help, how you'd probably move back in with your parents if they'd let you. I felt heat rise in my cheeks. My parents live in Florida, in a 1-bedroom retirement community. I know, that's what made it so cruel. Gianna pulled out her phone. Tyler doesn't know I have this, but I recorded part of the conversation at Sean's house Monday night, after you left with the sheriff. She hit play. Tyler's voice came through clearly. She's lost her damn mind. We need to contest this legally. Sean's voice. On what grounds? The will is solid. Mental incompetence. She just had a baby. Her boyfriend left her. She's obviously not thinking straight. Zaylee. We could argue she's not fit to make major financial decisions right now. Yolanda. Postpartum depression is a real thing. We could get her committed for evaluation. My blood went cold. They want to have me committed? It gets worse. Gianna fast-forwarded the recording. Tyler's voice again. If we can prove she's mentally unstable, we might be able to get guardianship of the baby too. Then she'd have to listen to us about the land. I stared at Gianna. He wants to take Ava? He thinks if they can prove you're an unfit mother, they can control your decisions, including the land sale. That's insane. Is it? Look at it from their perspective. $6 million is a lot of money, and they've convinced themselves they deserve it more than you do. My phone buzzed. A text from David. Emergency. Call me now. I dialed his number. David, what's wrong? Lindsay, I just got a call from family court. Someone filed a petition claiming you're mentally incompetent and requesting emergency guardianship of your daughter. Gianna nodded grimly. She'd heard every word. Who filed it? Sean. He's claiming you're suffering from severe postpartum depression and making irrational financial decisions that could harm your child's welfare. Can they do that? They can try. There's a hearing scheduled for tomorrow morning. You need to be there with documentation of your mental health, your financial stability, and character witnesses. Tomorrow, the day before the wedding? Lindsay, if they win this petition, they get temporary custody of Ava and control over your financial decisions, including the land sale. I looked down at my sleeping daughter, 3 months old, and already being used as a pawn in her father's family's greed. What do I need to do? Get to your doctor, get a mental health evaluation, today, and find character witnesses who can testify that you're a competent mother. Gianna reached across the table and touched my hand. I'll testify. What? I'll testify that you're a good mother, that this family has been planning to manipulate you since before the baby was born. Gianna, you can't. Tyler will never forgive you. Tyler wants to steal your baby to get your money. I'm not marrying someone like that. She pulled something else from her purse, a folded piece of paper. What's that? A prenup. Tyler had his lawyer draw it up last week. It says if we divorce, I get nothing. But if something happens to him, I inherit everything, including any money that comes from family property disputes. He's planning to profit from this. He's planning to profit from everything, the land sale, taking custody of Ava, even our marriage. My phone rang again. This time it was Tyler. Gianna nodded toward the phone. Answer it. Put it on speaker. Lindsay, we need to talk. I'm listening. This whole situation has gotten out of hand. I'm willing to make a deal. What kind of deal? Drop the land sale and we'll drop the custody petition. Gianna's eyes widened. You're blackmailing me with my own daughter? I'm trying to protect her, and you. That much money will ruin your life. By taking my child away? By making sure she's raised in a stable environment. With you? With family who can provide for her properly. I looked at Gianna, who was shaking her head in disgust. Tyler, let me ask you something. If you get custody of Ava, what happens to the money? It goes into a trust fund for her future. A trust fund managed by who? Silence. By who, Tyler? By her legal guardians, which would be you. Temporarily, yes. So you take my daughter and control her money. It's not like that. It's exactly like that. I hung up and looked at Gianna. Are you sure about testifying tomorrow? I'm sure about a lot of things now. She stood up, including the fact that there's not going to be a wedding on Saturday. The family court hearing was scheduled for 9 a.m. Thursday morning. I sat in the hallway outside the courtroom at 8:30, bouncing Ava on my knee while David reviewed his notes. Your doctor's evaluation came back clean, he said. No signs of postpartum depression, no mental health concerns. You're cleared for competent decision-making. What about their case? Weak. They're relying on hearsay and assumptions. But judges take child welfare seriously, so we need to be prepared. The courtroom doors opened. Sean walked out with a lawyer I didn't recognize, followed by Yolanda and Grace. They avoided eye contact as they took seats across the hall. Where's Tyler? I asked David. Probably dealing with wedding vendors. This hearing was Sean's idea. At exactly 9 a.m., we were called in. Judge Martinez, no relation despite the name, was a stern-looking woman in her 50s who got straight to business. Mr. Harvey, you're petitioning for emergency guardianship of the minor child Ava Martinez based on claims of maternal incompetence. Present your case. Sean's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, the respondent has exhibited erratic behavior following the birth of her child. She's made impulsive financial decisions, including selling valuable family property for far below market value. Objection, David said. The property sale was for $6.2 million, which is above market value. Sustained. Continue, counselor. The respondent has also isolated herself from family support systems and refused reasonable assistance with childcare and financial planning. Judge Martinez looked at me. Ms. Martinez, how do you respond to these allegations? I stood up, holding Ava. Your Honor, I haven't isolated myself from anyone. My family tried to use my property for a wedding without my permission, then threatened to contest my legal ownership when I objected. And the property sale? I sold inherited land to secure my daughter's future. The money is going into a college fund and will help us buy a home. Your Honor, Sean's lawyer interrupted, we have witnesses who can testify to the respondent's unstable emotional state. Call your first witness. Grace took the stand, her hands shaking as she was sworn in. Mrs. Riley, what have you observed about Ms. Martinez's behavior? She's been very angry lately, hostile toward family members. She threatened us when we tried to help with her grandfather's property. David stood up. What kind of help did you offer? We offered to use the land for Tyler's wedding. Did you ask her permission first? Well, no, but did you offer to pay her for the use of her property? It's family land. But legally it belongs to Ms. Martinez, correct? Grace looked at Sean's lawyer. Yes. No further questions. Yolanda was called next. She testified about my emotional outbursts and refusal to consider family input on important decisions. Mrs. Richards, David said during cross-examination, did you or any family member offer to help Ms. Martinez with childcare, groceries, or bills after her daughter was born? She never asked for help. That's not what I asked. Did anyone offer? She seemed to want to handle things herself. So the answer is no. We respected her independence by planning a wedding on her property without telling her. Objection, Sean's lawyer said. Sustained. David sat down. Your Honor, I'd like to call a witness for the respondent. Proceed. The courtroom doors opened and Gianna walked in. Sean's face went white. State your name for the record. Gianna Salazar. I'm engaged to Tyler Harvey. How long have you known the Harvey family? 3 years. And what have you observed about their treatment of Ms. Martinez? Sean's lawyer jumped up. Objection. Relevance. Your Honor, this goes to the petitioner's motivations for seeking guardianship. I'll allow it. Gianna looked directly at Sean. They've consistently treated Lindsay as less important than other family members. They've made disparaging comments about her being a single mother and questioned her ability to make decisions. Can you be more specific? At Christmas dinner, I heard Zaylee say that Lindsay would come crawling back to the family once she realized she couldn't handle being a single mother. Objection. Overruled. Gianna continued. 2 days ago, I recorded a conversation where Tyler and Sean discussed having Lindsay committed for mental health evaluation as a way to gain control of her inheritance. The courtroom erupted. Sean's lawyer was on his feet. Yolanda was whispering frantically to Grace, and Judge Martinez was banging her gavel. Order. Ms. Salazar, do you have this recording? Yes, Your Honor. I object to the admission of this evidence, Sean's lawyer said. On what grounds? It was obtained without consent. David stood up. Your Honor, this is a child welfare hearing. The court has broad discretion to consider evidence that speaks to the petitioner's motivations. I'll allow it. Play the recording. Tyler's voice filled the courtroom. If we can prove she's mentally unstable, we might be able to get guardianship of the baby, too. Then she'd have to listen to us about the land. Judge Martinez's expression hardened. Mr. Harvey, did you just hear your son discuss using this child as leverage in a property dispute? Sean looked like he wanted to disappear. Your Honor, that's taken out of context. What context would make that acceptable? Silence. Ms. Salazar, is there more? Yes, Your Honor. Gianna looked at me apologetically. Tyler also discussed how gaining custody would give them control over Lindsay's financial decisions, including the land sale. Judge Martinez set down her gavel. I've heard enough. Mr. Harvey, your petition for emergency guardianship is denied. Furthermore, I'm ordering a full investigation into your motivations for filing this petition. Your Honor, I'm not finished. Ms. Martinez, you retain full custody of your daughter. The court finds no evidence of incompetence or unfitness. She stood up. This hearing is adjourned. As we filed out of the courtroom, Sean grabbed my arm. This isn't over. David stepped between us. Actually, it is. And if you contact my client again, we'll file harassment charges. Gianna caught up with me in the parking lot. Lindsay, I'm sorry about all of this. You saved me in there, thank you. I couldn't let them take Ava. And I couldn't marry into a family that would try. She pulled off her engagement ring and handed it to me. Could you give this back to Tyler? I'm driving straight to my parents' house. What about the wedding? What wedding? She smiled for the first time since I'd met her. The venue just got sold, remember? As she walked away, my phone buzzed with a text from Maggie. Wire transfer complete. You're officially a millionaire. How does it feel? I looked down at Ava, who was sleeping peacefully despite the morning's chaos. Like justice, I typed back. Saturday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. The wedding was supposed to start at 4 p.m. I made coffee and scrolled through the chaos while Ava had her morning bottle. The venue is gone. What are we supposed to do with 200 guests? Zaylee, this is a nightmare. Vendors are asking for payment and we have nowhere to put them. Tyler, Lindsay, please call me. We can work something out. Yolanda. The last message was from a number I didn't recognize. This is Channel 7 News. We'd like to interview you about the wedding venue dispute. Can you call us back? News? I turned on the TV and flipped to the local station. There it was, the third story of the morning. Local wedding canceled after family land dispute turns ugly. They had footage of my property from yesterday. Empty fields where the wedding setup used to be, with a big sold sign posted by the road. My doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw a woman with a microphone and a cameraman behind her. I opened the door with Ava in my arms. Ms. Martinez, I'm Sarah Chen from Channel 7. Could we ask you a few questions about the wedding cancellation? I'd rather not comment. We understand your family tried to have you declared mentally incompetent to gain control of your inheritance. How do you respond to that? I stared at her. How did you find out about the court hearing? Court records are public. We also spoke with several wedding vendors who say they're out thousands of dollars because the venue was sold without notice. The venue was my property. I had every right to sell it. But what about your cousin's wedding? 200 guests were supposed to arrive today. That's not my problem. The reporter's eyebrows shot up. So you don't feel any responsibility for the disruption this has caused? Should I feel responsible for my family using my property without permission? Some people might say you could have handled this differently. I adjusted Ava on my hip. Some people might say my family could have asked before planning a wedding on land that didn't belong to them. What would you say to viewers who think this was an act of revenge? I'd say they're right. The cameraman zoomed in. The reporter looked surprised by my honesty. You admit this was revenge? Absolutely. My family treated me like garbage when I needed support most. They tried to steal my inheritance and take my daughter away from me. So, yes, I made sure their little party got canceled. And you don't regret it? The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner. After they left, I got dressed and drove out to the property. I wanted to see it one last time before Riverside took possession on Monday. The fields were empty now, except for tire tracks in the grass where the rental trucks had been. The sold sign fluttered in the breeze. I parked and got out, carrying Ava in her carrier. This was where Grandpa had taught me to drive his old pickup truck, where I'd helped him plant tomatoes every spring. A car pulled up behind me. Tyler got out, still wearing his tuxedo shirt from what should have been his wedding day. Are you happy now? He called across the field. Actually, yes. He walked closer. His eyes were red, his hair disheveled. Do you have any idea what you've done? I sold my land, made some money, kept my daughter. You destroyed my wedding. Gianna left me. Her parents are threatening to sue us for the money they spent on flights and hotels. Sounds like a you problem. 200 people showed up to a church with no reception to go to. The caterer is demanding payment for food that's going to rot. The band, the photographer, the florist, they all want their money. Did you get deposits back from any of them? What deposits? We were paying everything the day of the event. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Tyler, you planned an entire wedding on property you didn't own, without permits, without my permission. What did you think was going to happen? I thought you were family. So did I. Until you tried to have me declared mentally incompetent so you could steal my daughter and my money. He looked down at his shoes. That wasn't my idea. But you went along with it. Dad said it was the only way to stop you from making a huge mistake. The mistake was trusting any of you. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Saw you on the news. Interested in buying your story for a documentary. Call me. Another text. Publishing house wants to discuss book deal. And another, podcast interview opportunity. Tyler noticed me checking my phone. What's that? Apparently, people are interested in my story. What story? Single mom takes down entitled family. David versus Goliath. That kind of thing. His face went pale. You're going to tell people what happened? People seem to want to hear it. Lindsay, please. We're already humiliated. Don't make it worse. Make it worse? Tyler, you tried to take my child. You planned a wedding on my land without asking. Your mother called me emotionally unstable. Your sister said I'd come crawling back to the family. We were trying to help. By stealing from me? A news van pulled up, then another. Word was spreading fast about the wedding that wasn't. This is insane, Tyler muttered. This is consequences. Sarah from Channel 7 got out of the first van and walked over. Ms. Martinez, we're doing a follow-up story. Can you comment on reports that wedding vendors are considering legal action against your family? I looked at Tyler, who was backing toward his car. I'd say they should have gotten their contracts in writing and verified who actually owned the venue before setting up. What's your message to other families dealing with inheritance disputes? Know your rights. Get everything in writing, and don't let anyone convince you that being family means they can walk all over you. Tyler was in his car now, pulling away fast. One more question, Sarah called out. What are you going to do with the money from the land sale? I looked down at Ava, who was awake now and looking around with curious eyes. Secure my daughter's future, and maybe help other single mothers who are dealing with families like mine. As the news crews packed up, my phone rang. It was Maggie. Girl, you are all over social media. Wedding revenge is trending on Twitter. Seriously? People are calling you a hero. Someone started a GoFundMe to help you with legal fees, but I told them you probably don't need it anymore. I laughed. Probably not. So what's next? I looked out over the empty field one last time. Next, I buy a house, set up Ava's college fund, and figure out how to turn this mess into something good. Sounds like a plan. As I drove away, I passed 3 more news vans heading toward the property. By tonight, everyone would know what the Harvey family had tried to do. And for the first time in months, that felt exactly right. The documentary crew finished packing up their equipment as Ava crawled around the living room of our new house. The interview had taken 3 hours, but I'd told the whole story. Every detail, every text message, every moment of betrayal. That's a wrap, the director said. This is going to be powerful, Lindsay. Your story is going to help a lot of people. After they left, I sat on the floor with Ava, who was now 8 months old and determined to pull herself up on everything. The house was quiet except for her happy babbling and the sound of my phone buzzing with notifications. The documentary wouldn't air for another month, but word had already spread. My lawyer, David, had fielded calls from 3 different publishers wanting book rights. A major streaming service was interested in turning it into a limited series. Your family's really not going to like this, he'd warned me during our last meeting. Good, I'd said. My doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Gianna standing on my porch, holding a bottle of wine and looking nervous. I hope it's okay that I came by, she said when I opened the door. I saw the news trucks leaving. Of course. Come in. She handed me the wine and sat on my couch, watching Ava attempt to climb over a pile of toys. She's gotten so big. 8 months old and already trying to take over the world. Gianna smiled. Wonder where she gets that from. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. How are you doing? I asked. Really? Better. I moved back in with my parents for a while, but I just signed a lease on my own place, started seeing a therapist to work through everything. And Tyler? Haven't spoken to him since I left the ring with you. I heard he's been calling you. 17 times yesterday. I blocked his number. He's desperate. The whole family is. Apparently, vendors are still demanding payment for the wedding. Some of them are threatening to sue. Not my problem. I know, but Lindsay, she hesitated. I heard about the documentary and the book deal. And? Are you sure you want to do this? Once it's out there, there's no taking it back. I picked up Ava and settled her on my lap. Gianna, they tried to take my daughter away from me to steal my money. They called me mentally unstable. They planned a wedding on my property without asking, and then acted like I was the villain for stopping it. I know, I was there. So, why would I protect them now? Because once this story goes public, really public, it's going to destroy them. Tyler will never get another job in his field. Zaylee's event planning business will be finished. Sean's reputation in the community will be ruined. Again, not my problem. But is that really what you want? Complete destruction? I looked at her for a long moment. You know what I wanted? I wanted my family to support me when my boyfriend left me pregnant. I wanted them to help me figure out how to be a single mom. I wanted them to treat me like I mattered. And when they didn't, I wanted them to at least leave me alone, but they couldn't even do that. My phone rang. David's name appeared on the screen. I should take this. Lindsay, we have a problem, David said. I just got a call from Sean's lawyer. They want to meet. About what? They're offering to settle. Settle what? There's nothing to settle. They want to pay you to kill the documentary and the book deal. I put the call on speaker so Gianna could hear. How much? $2 million? Gianna's eyes widened. In exchange for what? Complete silence. No documentary, no book, no interviews. You sign a non-disclosure agreement and never speak publicly about any of this again. They want to buy my silence. That's exactly what they want to do. I looked at Ava, who was chewing on her toy and completely oblivious to the conversation that could change our lives again. David, can I call you back? Sure. But Lindsay, they need an answer by tomorrow morning. After I hung up, Gianna leaned forward. $2 million on top of what you already have. I know. You could disappear, move somewhere far away, start completely over. I could, but you won't. I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, I could see the playground I'd specifically chosen when buying this house. The good school district. The safe neighborhood where Ava could grow up. You know what the worst part was? I said, not turning around. It wasn't the money or the land or even the wedding. It was the way they made me feel like I didn't matter. Like I was just some inconvenience they had to deal with. And now? Now they're scared. They're offering me $2 million because they know what's coming. I turned back to Gianna. They're not offering to pay me because they feel bad about what they did. They're offering to pay me to protect themselves. So what are you going to do? I picked up my phone and called David back. David, it's me. Tell them no. Are you sure? I'm sure. And David, schedule a press conference for next week. I want to announce the documentary and the book deal properly. Lindsay, they had their chance to treat me like family. They chose greed instead. Now they get to live with the consequences. After I hung up, Gianna shook her head. You're really going to do this? I'm really going to do this, even though it means they'll never forgive you? Gianna, they tried to take my daughter away from me. There's nothing to forgive. She stood up to leave, then turned back at the door. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Even if it destroys them? They destroyed themselves. You're just making sure everyone knows about it. After she left, I sat on the floor with Ava, who had finally tired herself out and was getting sleepy. You know what, baby girl? I said, stroking her soft hair. Your mama used to be the kind of person who let people walk all over her, who stayed quiet when she should have spoken up, who put everyone else's comfort before her own. Ava yawned and snuggled closer. But that person is gone, and the person I am now? She doesn't back down. She doesn't stay quiet. And she sure as hell doesn't let anyone mess with her family. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Saw the news about your story. I'm a single mom dealing with something similar. Thank you for speaking up. Then another. My family tried to steal my inheritance too. Can't wait to read your book. And another. You're an inspiration. Keep fighting. I smiled and kissed the top of Ava's head. Looks like we're going to help a lot of people, sweetheart. And your college fund is going to be just fine. Outside, the sun was setting over our new neighborhood, our new life, our new beginning. It wasn't just about the land. It was never just about the land. It was about reminding them and myself that I was never the property they could walk all over. I was the storm they didn't see coming, and now everyone would know it.